Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Glasgow City Hall. Tonight's Glasgow City Council meeting. We will begin by pledging to our flag. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Councilman Marna Kirkpatrick will lead us in our evening's invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for your sacrifice for my salvation. Also, Lord, thank you for your example of truth. Help us to speak honest in all situations, Father. May we be truthful with ourselves and others, building trust and integrity in our relationships. Help us to follow in your footsteps and live with authenticity. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. And be seated. I will ask City Clerk Mona Simmons to call the roll.
Benil.
Present.
Gauntz.
Yes, ma'am.
Kirkpatrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Lowry.
Here.
Marion.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Trigg.
Here.
Witcher.
Here.
All right, 100% attendance. Thank you all for being here. We've got lots to take care of tonight, and we are going to get started by approving our agenda as it was sent to you back on Thursday. I'll entertain a motion that we proceed using the order of the agenda that was sent to you.
Motion, Lowry.
Is there a second?
Second now.
Okay, is there a discussion on tonight's agenda? That being none, all indicate by saying aye that that's okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda for tonight is approved, and the first thing we need to do on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our meeting back on November the 12th. I will entertain a motion that we approve those minutes and put them into the record books.
Motion.
From Councilman Neal,
Second.
second from Councilman Bonnell. Okay, so the all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The minutes of the November the 12th meeting are in the record book. A couple of business items to take care of here. First of all, we want to welcome some fine young ladies to the council meeting tonight. We have 4 students at the Glasgow Christian Academy who are here with us tonight, sitting on the front row, including Miss Faith Curry, Sophie Smith, Sarah Bryant, and Kaylee Bunn are here to learn about, this is American Government Week. Is that our American Government Studies class? Well, we hope that you learned something about American government tonight here. We really appreciate y'all being here, and that means we all have to be on our best behavior up here, y'all. So we put on a good show for American government class, and we have several parents sitting behind them there as well, and we want to welcome the parents here too as well. So thank you all for being here with us. And I'm happy to announce that the news came down today that our city clerk, Miss Mona Simmons, has earned her master's degree. It's a high honor. She's been going to training for, what you say, 5 years? 5 years. She has now been awarded a master's degree in being a city clerk, and that gets a round of applause. She's worked really hard, and we need to bring the diploma up here whenever that gets to you, but you just now found out. So a positive thing for the Thanksgiving season. That's good news indeed.
Congratulations.
All right, we're going to keep going down the agenda. We have some old business to consider, Rich Alexander.
This is a second reading, amending ordinance, the city's annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Be it hereby ordained by the City of Glasgow that its annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025 is hereby amended as follows. Section 1, there's hereby appropriated from the unappropriated general fund the sum of $751,501 to be transferred to the Administrative Department Land Purchase Account for purchase of land on the outer loop. Section 2, there is hereby transferred $7,600,000 from the Sanitation Landfill Fund to the Capital Projects Fund, with said monies being dispersed into A, the Administrative Purchase Land Account, $6,100,000, the Administrative Personal or Professional and Technical Account, $800,000, and the Administrative Contractual Improvement Account, $700,000. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law.
All right, this is the second reading of an ordinance that was presented at the last council meeting. I will entertain a motion that we approve the second reading of this ordinance.
Now.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Norris.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to ask a question. Marna mentioned last time about seeking an appraisal for this land, and I didn't know if you'd talked to Stephanie and met with her and got that or not.
Yes, well, here's the actual, and there's been correspondence sent to Marna, but our city attorney is going to talk about appraisals.
In terms of just the idea of an appraisal with municipalities in Kentucky, there is no legal requirement that a city obtain an appraisal prior to contracting for the purchase of real estate.
That is correct, Rich, but I was told at the meeting from the mayor and the treasurer that we did have an appraisal, and they asked me to come into the office to look at it. The next day I went in, they could not produce me an appraisal. The mayor sent me up to Stephanie's office. Stephanie laughed and said, I don't know why he would send you up here, because I don't have an appraisal. And I did exactly what Councilmember Lowry and Gauntz asked me to do, and for the citizens. And we need to take extreme caution in deceiving citizens or council members.
It was a mistake because so much is going on with that. It was nothing more than a mistake. What?
I didn't take it personally,
Yeah, well, I mean,
but
it's a
I'm
big
just saying, as
operation.
for the citizens and the council members, we deserve the truth.
I agree. I totally agree.
No, that's okay. I believe you.
In the reports, okay, I guess because he thinks,
And
okay, there's two of us. I meant no ill will.
that's what I was getting ready to say. It may not have been intentional whatsoever.
So do we need to go back and revisit this before we spend this money to buy this land? Because we don't even know if it's worth that, guys.
There's not a
No requirement?
I know there's not a requirement. I understand there's not a requirement, but for us, for our knowledge, before we spend money like this, do we want to see if it's worth what we're paying for it?
what we have planned to.
Stephanie, I'm not saying that, it was intentional, and I'm not saying that at all. I'm just letting everyone know.
You come and ask for an appraisal and
Well, I have the minutes of the council meeting right here where both of you said that you have an appraisal, and the mayor said,
we went through looking for that.
I just know the appraisal exists. I know it appraises for at least what we are giving for it. You said we do have an appraisal.
And so
I
now you
did.
don't think it will appraise for what we gave for it now, right?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a clue. I'm not an
Oh,
appraiser.
I thought you just said that it wouldn't appraise for what we purchased for it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I said was what we're going to do with it will not appraise the same as it would. No, it's two different, what you would do with the land. It's two different
I just remember
appraisals.
when we were talking about this, that, that was a big thing that I was keen on, is it going to appraise? And it was told that it would appraise for what we're paying for it. And now we don't know if it would appraise, and now we don't have an appraisal.
Well, we don't have an appraisal, and I thought that there was one. It was not nothing that I was saying. It was against, that's exactly what I thought. In all those reports, I thought there was an appraisal. And when the mayor was shaking his head, yes, I think he thought so too. And so therefore, that's why the yes was given. But I will stand here and say, there's nothing to hide. There's all kinds of reports. And no, there's not an appraisal. But yes, we are purchasing the land, and all those reports are an ALTA report, and more information will be given on December the 3rd. That's all I can say. I just want to say I didn't say yes because of trying to lie or anything to anyone. It was an erroneous yes because I thought there was an appraisal in all those reports, which are multiple.
When you buy a piece of property like that, you have to go through something called due diligence, because it's not like you tour a house that's been built. We have to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the property and that we want it. So we have been through due diligence up until, it'll be 2 weeks ago Friday we got done, and all the due diligence came in correct, and so where we are right now is we're happy with the way that the report came through, and it was voted on the Finance Committee. It passed first reading right here. All we need to do right now is just to realize that as much information as we handle, occasionally we make a mistake, and that's all it was. There's nothing that could be hidden by having an appraisal or not.
I just want you to know my position. I have to work for the people that put me in this seat, and that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
And I might add to your question, Councilman Marion, I do want everybody to know this ordinance is moving money. What we have, or what you all have already done, we have a contract with the seller. There was a resolution that was adopted, a contract that was signed that says the city is going to purchase this property. This is a mechanism for moving the money to the proper account. So,
And I understand that. I just, and to go back retroactive, when the 7 council members voted yes on that, and me and Marna voted no, that was with all of you all being told and thinking that it was going to appraise for that. And so now we don't have an appraisal, so I'm going to be voting no to move any money.
Seems like there was a lot of conversation about what land was worth. I remember different people chimed in on that, and it seemed like everything that people were saying that knew about land acquisition that close or inside the city was saying it was quite a good deal as far as per acre. That's what I remember.
Councilmember Norris, that was commercial property, not farmland.
Let me, Mayor, if I would try to address some of the issues with an appraisal. Again, as the city attorney has mentioned, we're not required to get an appraisal. Okay? We're buying 160 acres of currently used as farmland. And if we had an appraisal on that property, the current usage is not what the intent. Hard to get an appraisal, but current usage and the intended usage. 3 aspects of an appraisal. You have the market value, you have the cost approach, and you have the income approach. There's people, and I deal with appraisals about every day.
You don't get an appraisal for what you're going to do with a piece of property.
Yes. In the commercial development business, you get appraisals also based on the intended use of the property.
I wasn't aware.
So you look at this property, and as a prudent person would do, I would determine a value to it. And that is around it, what those have sold for, and you do have a large tract of land that's located within the city limits of Glasgow. Therefore, it has value to it, more than farmland would have. That's the basis, again, what a prudent person would. Listing price on this piece of property, $7 million. I don't think they would have put a price tag on it had they not done some type of market analysis, because they had it listed with a realtor.
You're saying think. In our positions, we need to know. That's all I'm saying.
And all I'm saying is, I appreciate all the explanation. I respect all the explanation, but going backwards, we were told we had an appraisal. It was going to appraise for what we purchased it for, and now all of a sudden, well, you don't have to have one. Well, if we would have had one, and it was only appraised for $3 million, well, then instead of giving 7, we give 3. You go talk to any realtor, and the list price is not usually the sale price, but in this instance, it was, and it was done quickly and too fast with not dotting all the I's and crossing the T's, and we fired on it real quick without stepping back and looking and thinking.
Well, at the last council meeting, I brought up what property in and around that property at the end of Road and West Main Street that was listed for $575,000, and that property closed the other day for $500,000. Good comparison that an asking price and the selling price aren't too far off in their values.
It doesn't take away from the fact that we have nothing in front of us that tells us what this property is worth and how much we paid for it. There's no comparison. There's no factual comparison. We probably just need to fast forward and move on. It's not, and you know what? It's not required. You are correct that we don't have to have an appraisal, but you would think with the city making this big of a purchase of millions of dollars that we could have done an appraisal. That's all I'm saying. Out of respect, honesty, integrity.
One thing I'd say is it would be hard to get comparable sale unless you were selling farms. And the only example I could give you would be like the Trans Park in Bowling Green. They bought 200 acres of farmland. They paid an exorbitant amount for the farmland. They weren't buying it for the farm. They were buying it for the commercial. I don't know if that helps. That's probably the only, and I don't even know what the numbers were, but that's probably the only comparable I could think of that would be in this area.
You tried to help me and told me to go to the office to get the copy of the appraisal.
I thought you could go
Again,
get anything.
nothing more than a mistake.
Right.
Nothing more than a mistake. Because we had to do due diligence, and we had a big, long list of things that they were doing for us with the Alta survey and everything else that we had to have. And I didn't, since it really wasn't a part of the transaction from the standpoint of an appraisal, I just presumed that all that was done by QK4, and we didn't need it. And
I think what I said was go to Stephanie, she'll get you whatever the answers. Yeah, I don't know that you asked me specifically for an appraisal. I think you asked me for numbers, and I said, you know, I think my response was because you said I don't feel comfortable going down there. I think my response was text me what you want me to ask her, and I'll call her.
And that may be true.
That was our conversation.
That may be true, but Stephanie told Marna that if she came to her office, she would show her the appraisal.
Yeah, well,
That was
I'm
said.
referring to what she just said to me.
I'm sorry,
I know
you are right.
I know what that was true. I can't speak to what happened in the office, but she said that I said something that I didn't. But I was trying to help her, but don't put words in my mouth.
I was just curious to see what it appraised for is
Okay.
all. That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I'd love to have known.
I get the question.
we could, you know, we talked about, well, let's go ahead and get one since we didn't look like we have one, but we can't figure out, it would be like a waste of money because
We've wasted
it's
enough.
gonna appraise for at least what we gave for it.
I hope so.
It will.
Me too.
And this is the largest piece of property in the city limits, period, that's available. And when we're all way off of this council, people are going to thank us for the foresight to have done this to give us something to build on. You know, it's a lot of money, but we have the money.
I hope you're right, Mayor. I really do.
I feel that we are.
I hope.
I'll call the question.
Okay, is there any further discussion? No further discussion, then I'll ask all those who are in favor of... Roll call. Oh, that's right, it is an ordinance. I'll do the roll call.
Benel.
Yes.
Lowry.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
Gauntz.
Yes, ma'am.
Neal.
Yes.
Trigg.
Yes.
Marion.
No.
Kirkpatrick.
N-O, no.
Okay, that is it's 7-2, the vote is 7-2, so the ordinance passes on second reading. Now, let's move to the next piece of old business.
This is the ordinance related to the bond issue. I'll be reading from the summary of the ordinance. This ordinance authorizes the issuance and sale in one or more series of the city's general obligation bonds in the maximum amount authorized the principal amount being $5,400,000, subject to adjustment upward by an amount not to exceed 10% or downward by any amount. The exact amount of each series to be determined by the mayor, to finance the cost to renovate, improve, and equip park facilities to be owned and operated by the city for the benefit of its citizens. This ordinance authorizes the bonds to be sold by advertised competitive bid and sets the terms and conditions for the sale of the bonds. It authorizes the mayor to review the bids and accept the successful bid on behalf of the city, and authorizes the mayor and the city clerk to execute all necessary documents, instruments, and obligations of the city in order to issue each series of bonds. It also authorizes, to the extent budgeted funds are not available for said purpose, orders and provides for the levy of an annual tax in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds. A copy of the full text of this ordinance is available for public inspection during the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday in the city clerk's office.
This is the second reading of an ordinance from the last meeting. Our bond counsel is available. They were here to explain all this on first reading. The bond counsel is available if we wanted to call them, but they weren't going to be here tonight. So I will let you consider making a motion to approve the second reading of this ordinance.
Motion, Benel.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Lowry.
Okay, is there a discussion?
So after just spending $7.6 million, now we're going to tax the citizens for interest on a bond? Is that really what I'm reading?
Well, let me just
I can speak.
take to that.
Well, if you remember when Christian Juckett, who's the bond counsel, was here at the first reading and had his presentation, he stressed the fact that while this ordinance does provide that if the bond issue does not satisfy what's needed, there is the ability to do that, but he said that that is highly unlikely.
I just was going on the extent necessary, so we really don't know what kind of tax, or if any, there will be, right?
Right. Likely there will be none, according to Mr. Juckett.
That's right. That's why we had them here last time. Other discussion? All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Oh, it's a roll call again. I'm sorry. I've got my head here in the sand. Mona?
Marion,
No.
Neal,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher,
Yes.
Benel,
Yes.
Gauntz,
Yes, ma'am.
Kirkpatrick,
No, ma'am.
Lowry.
Again, the ordinance passes by a vote of 7-2. Thank you very much. All right, we've got second reading of a rezoning ordinance.
The owner and applicant, Stephen Hernandez, has requested a zoning change for the property located at 808 South Lewis Street here in Glasgow that contains .24 acres from I-1, which is the light industrial district, to R1 low-density residential district. A drawing of the property subject to rezoning is attached as Exhibit A. A trial-type due process hearing concerning the proposed zoning change was held on October 21 by the Joint City-County Planning and Zoning Commission, resulting in the unanimous recommendation by the Commission that the property be rezoned from I-1 to R1. Copies of the findings and recommendations of the Commission have been forwarded to the Council, are hereby adopted by the Council, and attached as Exhibit B. Now therefore be it hereby ordained by the City as follows. Section 1, the findings and recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission, copies of which are attached as Exhibit B, are hereby approved in all respects. Section 2, the zoning for the property located at 808 South Lewis Street containing .24 acres is rezoned from I-1 to R1 classification, the property covered by the ordinance being described in Exhibit A. Section 3, all future development of this property shall comply with the requirements of the Development Plan Ordinance adopted by the Council on December 30, 1991. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect upon its passage and publication according to law.
All right, you've heard second reading of the ordinance on the rezoning of this property. I will entertain a motion that we approve the second reading of it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we need to do a roll call vote on this, Ms. Mona.
Neal,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher,
Yes.
Benel,
Yes.
Gauntz,
Yes, ma'am.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes, ma'am.
Lowry,
Yes.
Marion.
Yes.
And the vote is 9-0, and that particular ordinance is passed. In your packet, there's some listings of some appointments per 2016-2341 for municipal orders to be approved at the next council meeting. So be sure and read those and make sure that you don't have any questions about them, and we will be able to answer questions for you as well. There's been a lot of discussion here about property and things of that nature, so I want to be sure that everybody here in the audience, on the television, or on the council, that everybody is invited to come on Tuesday night at the third day of December, on Tuesday night, for the purposes of seeing renderings and plans for what could become of the property at 1297 on Cleveland Avenue. It's going to be between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. in this very chambers, so you want to be sure and come up here, and it's very difficult to, I guess, lay all this out in short conversations, so I want us to come and spend all the time necessary to see what really all of this is about. That's 6 till 8 on the night of December the 3rd. Also, you need to know that we have City Hall going to be closed Thursday and Friday of this week, and the Department of Public Works, Stormwater, Street, and Transit also closed. So if your garbage comes on Thursday, the 28th, let's see if I can read this right here, Mona. On Thursday, the 28th, along with the Monday garbage, will be picked up on Monday. And then the Friday garbage, along with the Tuesday garbage, will be picked up on Tuesday the 3rd. And recycling as well, have your carts out early because it's a busy time on those double garbage days, and they'll have 2 of them in a row. We have the Christmas parade on the night of December the 7th at 7 p.m. As you can tell, this community gets excited about Christmas. And it will once again, just like it was this weekend, it will be exciting when the Christmas parade happens on December the 7th. The next council meeting will be on Monday, December the 9th. And looking at my agenda, I see that it would be in order if we had a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
From Councilman Neal, is there a second?
Second.
Now.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Y'all have a good